I just got out of bed and I feel like my whole body aches. Not only my lower back and my upper back, but just underneath my right knee even hurts. Like, I feel like I'm limping if I didn't already limp enough when I get up. Oh, I just feel like a bit of an old lady at the moment. So it's only 10 a.m. and already I have been to the osteo because my back is just no good, and definitely feeling better after that. I've had my blood test done for all my, my quantitative HCG, all the virology and, your iron studies, just check everything is doing well with that. I got home, had some leftover carbonara pasta and I was still hungry because there was only like a small amount left. And I remembered that I had, I think it's called the Golden Pig, gluten-free vegan dumplings in the freezer. Oh my gosh, I just had them. There's like 12 in a packet with gluten-free soy sauce, balsamic vinegar and homemade chili oil mixed together, because that's how I love my dumplings. And it was so good. And yes, it's only 10 a.m. but hey, I've been up since like 5 a.m. So, it's been 5 hours of being up, and you need that food in that time, as well as that, being pregnant. So yeah, I honestly, all my ideas of how you should eat are going out the window, and I totally don't care. And to be honest, I've been told this several times, even, before I was pregnant, by clients and other naturopaths. They all say the same thing, that you've just got to let go of, all the things that you used to do. I mean, obviously still try and stick to eating, well enough, but, you've got to give yourself some credit as well. I must say one thing, that so many people experience a lot of fatigue in early pregnancy, and it's way too early for me to conclude that I haven't got that yet. I'm about 5.5 weeks, but I actually am not that tired. Like in the evening, I'll feel like maybe a little bit lightheaded and just like I need to lie down. But like in the mornings, I actually have so much energy. Like today, I'm feeling really good. And I really think it is helping so much that I go to bed early and get up early now. And I do definitely think, having worked on my preconception care, on all my nutrient levels for so long, and making sure that all those energy building nutrients are high, like your iron, B12, vitamin D, folate, and your other B vitamins and things like that, I actually think that makes such a huge difference. Obviously, pregnancy hormones are going to make you tired. And, there are certainly times when I've just felt like I need to lay down, but the thing that I see so much with my clients is they're often going into pregnancy so depleted. And so if you're, low in iron already or borderline, when you are pregnant, your baby gets favored first. So you're going to suffer so much more. So if your iron was already teetering on the edge, and then you go into pregnancy with low iron, you're going to run into trouble. Not to mention once you have the baby and then you start breastfeeding. So it is so important that you actually go and see a naturopath or someone or a nutritionist, who does specialize in this area, so that they can optimize everything for you and make sure that you're going into pregnancy well. I think the baby brain must be starting. And it's not that I even notice it in the moment, but it's when I notice later on that I've done something stupid. And I have stuffed up 2 people's tea orders this week, and I usually just double check, make sure everything's right, but God knows where my brain was this week. So one person's order, I forgot to add one of the tea samples that she had ordered and paid for, but she didn't receive it. But I must have given it to someone else, because there was only one of those samples left and it's nowhere to be found. And I remember grabbing it, so I must have thrown it in the wrong order. And then also one of my friends who had ordered some tea, she's like, babe, I think you've sent me someone else's order, because she ended up with 4 extra bags of tea and 2 tea balls, and realized that I had accidentally printed her label twice and put that on the order. So I'm just like, oh my God, right now I'm in a mood, because I just feel like I just want to pack the whole tea business in. I'm just having that kind of mood right now. I'm just it's because it's a lot of work and it doesn't make me a lot of money. And right now while I'm pregnant as well, that just adds to it all. And I'm like, why am I even bothering with this tea business? Like, you know, I love it and I love that other people love it, but it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort for like hardly any return. And I'm just like, oh my God, why bother? So I've only got one more client today, and I just want to lay down. I really just don't even want to talk to my husband right now. I'm just in a shitty mood. Feeling so grateful. You know, even though I slept until 8 a.m. this morning, and that's just, I'm like me at the moment. I've always been getting up at like 5:30, but last night my mum called at, I think it was like 9:30, which would be 9 her time, and I was on the phone to her till close to 10 o'clock. And then, like, you know, by the time you go to bed, and then you can't really like fall asleep straight away. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like really hot, so I got up and put the aircon on. So anyway, I think maybe it was those things combined, but I slept until 8 a.m. And it was like one of those, like, you know, you just keep waking up and you're like, oh no, go back to sleep. Wake up, no more. And now I'm just like feeling a little bit like not as perky as I was yesterday. My lower back, oh my gosh, definitely in a bit of pain. A bit of nausea this morning, so I made some ginger tea, but also I've got a bit of a pain in the gut today, and I have a feeling it could be because last night we got a burger and chips from like this local place that we love. They do the best gluten-free buns ever. It's like a pretty healthy burger. It's got, you know, lots of salad and like grilled chicken and stuff. But the chips, they're beer battered, and I had some of the chips, and I always, when I do that, I wake up with pain. So I just had like this diffuse pain all over my gut this morning. So yeah, not great, but the ginger tea's definitely helped a lot. So I'm just going to chill today. Thursdays are pretty much my day off. So I do have, I'm going out with a friend tonight to Pinot and Picasso, which is this awesome company that do a few different like locations where you go there and you do painting, but you can also like drink wine and have cheese platters and stuff. Obviously I won't be drinking wine and I won't be having cheese either, but we are going to bring snacks with us, and I just think it'd be something cool to do and something different. With all of this said, like all the little symptoms I've just been like really overlooking, even though I've been mentioning them in these videos, it's more just so that people know what kind of symptoms to expect. But to be honest, like none of it bothers me that much. I think the only ones that actually bother me is when I'm feeling a bit lightheaded every now and then, and also a bit short of breath. But it doesn't happen all the time. Like all of a sudden I'll just feel a little bit more short of breath, and I'm like constantly being like, you know, trying to get that in. I spoke to the doctor about it. You know, she obviously did question it further because they always need to be concerned about any kind of shortness of breath. But because I think I said that it doesn't happen all the time, it's not as concerning. So we'll just monitor it. But I have read online that even progesterone can do that. So we'll see if it like gets better. I feel like it has actually gotten better, but then sometimes it just kicks in and it's just like really uncomfortable. But apart from that, like I think when you've been through so much to get to this stage, like these things don't bother you as much. You know what's hard is speaking to people who are, you know, still having fertility challenges. You know, like when I was having fertility challenges myself, like I know that people found it hard to talk to me, and I didn't want them to feel that way. Like I wanted them to talk to me normally. But now that like I'm on the other side of it, like I know what it's like. And, you know, there'll be times when I'm like talking to someone and they'll like ask me a question about how I'm going, and then I'll like backspace half of it because I'm like, oh, is that like insensitive? Like, because they don't have that, or, you know, it's really hard. You know, like everything from people who haven't fallen pregnant yet, who've been through unsuccessful IVF rounds, people who've had miscarriages, like, you know, it's just a hard thing. But I think the reality is like the best thing you can do is just not beat around the bush. And also the reality is that, you know, you're always going to probably like not offend someone, on it, just you're always going to be difficult for some people to hear, I suppose. And there's like nothing you can change, you know, like you can't just not tell anyone, you know, like you still need to enjoy this thing that you've also worked hard for. And I think it does help when like that people know that you also, you know, had your own little challenges to get there. And like there's also sometimes when I think, I know, you know, this is something I always try and educate my clients to not do, but like there's times when you say to yourself, oh, you know, my challenges weren't even that bad, like it only took us, you know, 12 months. There's people that have been trying a long time. You know, we fell pregnant first time with IVF. There's people who have been trying several rounds and not working. But like, then there's some people who fall pregnant instantly and would look at my journey as a huge challenge. So this just serves as a good reminder to you guys to not do that, because it's also good to have good context and like, you know, be grateful. It's kind of like when people complain about first world problems and then people like will go live in Southeast Asia, you know, when people say that typical throwaway line. And so that, you know, everything is about context, but at the same time, like everyone's experience is different. And if you don't have a bigger experience to compare it to, then like how would you know what worse it feels like? So, you know, that's something that I'm just constantly reminding myself of, like, not to do, but at the same time also not like get caught up in that either. I hope that will make sense. I was taking Millie for a little walk. I said to my husband the other day that I really want to try and walk every day. So try and walk for about 20 minutes, even if I could just do 10 minutes. Because I just don't want to become complacent and couch bound and, you know, just immobile through my pregnancy. Plus I want to keep up some level of fitness. It's good for your baby, good for your own health. Lots and lots of benefits on physical activity in pregnancy. With that said though, pregnancy affects everyone so differently. So for some people, you know, the nausea and fatigue is so debilitating that they can't do it. So, and I have no doubt that there's going to be days where that happens to me. So that's why I'm just trying to make the most of everything now so that I can, you know, get in as much exercise where possible. But honestly, I'm just so puffed out. Like even just after like 1 minute and there's like this steep hill walking up the road. I'm actually walking up a bit of a hill now and I'm just so puffed out. And also the masks, I seriously hope they go soon, because I really feel for any pregnant woman who's had to wear these masks. Like, I mean, you have an exemption anyway, you don't have to if you're pregnant, but you know, people judge you if you don't have a mask on. You know, I wore my mask here to this enclosed bit, but I've just taken it off because there's like no one around and it's fenced off anyway. But yeah, it's not easy. Anyway, the good thing about working from home when you're pregnant is that you don't have to wear pants. I'm exceptionally bloated today. Like, just look at that. Woke up this morning with quite strong cramps. One woke me up in the morning and it only lasted about 10 seconds, but it felt like the onset of intense period pain. And then when that stopped, I like felt a bit nauseous. So I sat up and just like sat at the edge of my bed until it was gone. And then another one happened like early in the morning. I think I've had 3 now. But I've looked it up and it definitely seems quite normal in early pregnancy, provided that, you know, they don't last forever. So it's just been about 3 cramps, lasts about 10 seconds and then it's gone. Had a little bit more nausea this morning. I just really didn't know what I wanted to eat. So all I actually felt like was a smoothie, which is so unlike me. Usually that would make me feel sick, but I just needed something fresh because yesterday all I ate was shit. And so I just had like a really simple smoothie, but then I just felt a bit unsettled again, obviously with all that liquid. I knew it wasn't a good idea, but I just had to do it, get something in my stomach. And then I just like didn't feel like anything, even though I felt like I still needed something a lot more substantial. So in the end, I remembered that I had a leftover, what are they called? I can't remember, my brain is going fried. You know those Mexican things where you like roll them up and bake them? Oh my God, fuck. It's like a little burrito, but it's not. Anyway, I made a heap of those last night for dinner, and there was one left over, gluten-free and dairy-free, and that was the best breakfast. It was so yum. And now I'm just getting ready to practice. So fingers crossed that I can get through the day. But once again, just so glad that I work from home because I can just be comfortable even when I am this bloated. You would honestly think I was like 5 months pregnant. Like, honestly, look at that. So tender. Each morning, the nausea is just getting switched on a little bit more. I think I'm like 6 weeks, 4 days today. And like every morning it's just getting a little bit more. And like now it's like the nausea is actually waking me up in the morning. And it will be like, just like that. Like imagine your nausea is a volcano. It feels like it's at the like rumbling stage, like ready to erupt. I still definitely haven't thrown up or anything. And I basically just have to not think about any foods because I'm feeling so many aversions at the moment. And yesterday and the day before, like my appetite is just declining. So yesterday for breakfast, like we went out for brunch with a couple of friends, and I had a smoothie of all things, and then we all ordered the same thing, and I could barely eat half of mine, so I gave the rest to my husband because luckily he was like, I could eat more. For lunch, like I had some leftover sticky date pudding I made the night before, and honestly, like didn't even eat it. I just gave it to everyone else, and I couldn't even eat it even though I made it. And so for lunch, like I just really wanted to try the sticky date even though I wasn't hungry. So I had like 3 tablespoons. That was about it. And then later on, Ed and I made a pasta. Like that was the only thing I could think that I wanted. But this time I didn't want a creamy pasta. I just wanted one that had like olive oil, garlic, asparagus, a little bit of bacon, cherry tomatoes, and a bit of sheep's milk parmesan that I had, and it was just perfect. It was beautiful, but once again, I could barely eat it. Like that was the most I had actually ate. Like I probably had about 10 mouthfuls, but then I was done. And then I just like waited a couple of hours and then had the rest later. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to be in the position that I am where I don't have to go to work. I have a job. Work for myself, but the way that I've set up my business is just, I'm so lucky, so grateful. I mean, look, I'm lucky, but at the same time, I've worked bloody hard to get here. Like my husband and I just constantly like kick ourselves because, when I was studying, I was working like barely 10 hours a week, like I earned nothing. And my husband like was, the main provider, but our pay would get like divided up between the two of us, and then there wasn't much left. So like for ages, we barely had any money. And it's just so nice that I'm finally in a position where one, I can work for myself and love it, and like pay myself a decent pay as well, but also just be able to support me and like what I need to do. And if I need to take it easy some weeks, I can do that. Just like getting up in the morning and like how shit I feel at the moment, I cannot imagine how that would feel having to go to a 9 to 5 or even worse, like 12-hour shifts or 6 a.m. starts or whatever, like, oh, I feel sick thinking about it. I honestly could not do it. Or like having to, you know, speak to your boss who's a bitch, or, you know, just all the pressure and stuff like that. So, you know, at the moment I practice Wednesdays and Fridays. I have purposely put it that my hours don't start till 11 a.m. just to like really give me, you know, comfort in the morning to get going. And then I just do all my tea and admin stuff on the other days, so I can kind of be a bit more flexible with that. With that said, I must admit I've definitely been a bit slower with, you know, getting back to my emails and getting my orders out. Of course, if someone pays extra for express, they're going to go out first. So I'm getting a little bit slow with that. And I do have a VA who I'm going to get to do a bit more work in the next couple of weeks, just, you know, responding to emails and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of the orders, it's hard because, like, you know, I've asked someone to help me, but she's actually now pregnant and she's been in the morning sickness phase too. So, like, you know, we're kind of in the same boat, so it's probably not the best. But I am at the stage where I really do need someone to help me with the tea stuff. It's hard because, you know, everything's at my home. It's not like someone can rock up to work and start doing it. So I just need to find someone who can kind of come around for a few hours a week and just help me with the teas and stuff. So I need to get onto that. You know what's crazy? Like, you've seen my bloating videos and look how much it's gone down. That's just me relaxed, but that's kind of me just like normal, because the last couple of days I've just been barely able to eat anything. But the good news as well is that I have been having regular bowel movements too, so I feel like it's like clearing out better, and I think that would be also due to having more magnesium and the PHGG that I showed you too. So like, it actually just feels so much more comfortable when it's not like ridiculously bloated. So it's amazing actually how much of a difference it makes. Something that all my friends warned me about was that you will not be able to eat properly, as in your nutrition values and how you usually eat will completely go out the window, and that you have to completely let go of it because there is almost nothing you can do about it. And I cannot tell you how much I feel that so much right now. Like, I've literally just had 2 rice crackers with peanut butter on them this morning, and I really did actually have to force myself just to eat that. It's now lunchtime and I still just don't feel too great, but all of a sudden, like, things just come into your mind of something that you probably could eat. And I was like, oh, I think I could have some hot chips. And then all of a sudden I started to think, oh, I reckon I could have a kebab. So I've just ordered some kebab with salad and some hot chips on DoorDash, which is just so unlike me. But honestly, like, girls gotta eat, and that's all I want to eat. To be honest, I have a feeling I'll probably only be able to eat 5 mouthfuls, but that'll be better than nothing. And I don't know whether I'll feel more like the chips or the kebab, so I was like, just get the meal deal. It has come at a point where I need to sit on the floor by the toilet bowl. Oh, I just had this like full wave of nausea, like to the point where I was like, if I see something gross, I will definitely throw up. So I just thought, okay, I'm going to sit down on the floor, because it was just like that real urge. It seems to have subsided, but like not fully. Like, I still have nausea, but not to the point where I feel like I'm going to throw up. Oh, it's becoming quite fun. So I'd be 6 weeks and 6 days today. So as far as I'm aware. So I'll just have to write this out. I think it's like almost 9 a.m. I've just got one consult today at 12. And then after that, I've got a friend coming round who's going to help me make some tea, because I really just need to like get on top of my tea before I'm too unwell. Because like, as long as I've got all my teas made up, then I can just, whenever orders come through, quickly put them together. But if I've got heaps of teas to make up and then I get orders with all the teas that aren't made up, it's a nightmare. So yes, need some help. So good. So last night I actually made this because I didn't want dinner. I had no appetite yesterday. It was so bad. But then, as I'm finding a lot with this pregnancy nausea thing, is that you won't feel like anything. The thought of any food makes you feel sick. And then you'll be like watching an ad or like on Instagram or Facebook and you'll see something and suddenly it's like, that is the only thing that you want. And I just saw an ad that had risotto on it and suddenly I was like, that's what I want. I want risotto. And fortunately I had some arborio rice. So knowing me, this is what I do. Like I get fixated on a food idea and then I'll make it. So had some arborio rice, garlic, onion. I had a packet of frozen spinach. I added a sweet potato diced up, some chicken flavoured stock, and I had some sheep's milk parmesan that I grated into it. And my God, it's absolutely amazing. It's so yum. And I don't know why, it's just kind of like the only thing that I want to eat right now. You know, one of the lessons that I've taken from this whole experience is the term everything happens for a reason is not the greatest thing to say. And I think most of us are pretty guilty, particularly women, on saying everything happens for a reason. And I think it's just a throwaway line. You know, we always say it just to, support someone, like make them feel better, or like say it to our own selves just to satisfy what we're going through. But when you really break that down, like it can be quite insensitive, particularly with fertility things. Like, I've been thinking a lot, and obviously being in a lot of IVF groups and fertility groups and seeing what people go through. Like, how can you tell someone everything happens for a reason when they've had multiple losses, or, even having children born with a terminal disease or something like that? And it's pretty hard for someone to accept that everything happens for a reason if they're going through such, for some people, trauma and so much more. So I think it is hard for me to accept that. The other thing as well that I cannot stand, and this is something I've actually been, I've felt for a long time, is when people say I'm so blessed. Like, for example, when they say, they got their baby, they're so blessed, as if, like, I'm not religious, I don't believe in God whatsoever, but like, say, for example, they're implying that God blessed them. And then what's that saying to the person next to him, that God doesn't favor them? God's like, oh, screw you, you can have 10 miscarriages. Like, I just think it's really insensitive to say that, and it kind of shows how privileged people are when they sit there and say that they're blessed, when they obviously have no clue on the kind of shit that some people go through where they are clearly not blessed. So I just thought that would be a good thing to point out, because, they're all things that we've all been guilty of saying because we don't know any different. But it's not until you go through something yourself that you realize that those things are actually insensitive and can be hard for people to hear. So that would be something to definitely not say in front of anyone, really, because even if you might not even know what someone's gone through, because it might, they might be sitting there having tried to fall pregnant for several years and you don't even know that. So just be careful what you say. In a significant turn of events, I actually feel like going for a walk after feeling the most amount of nausea this morning. Oh my God, but I'm actually feeling really good. Like, even my fitness seems better. Like, before I was like getting really puffed out when I'd go for a walk, but I actually feel way better. So that is good. I'm going to try and make the most of this. I actually had a bit of a controversial post today after I had mentioned before in my earlier videos about the way I feel about when people say blessed. Yes, it was quite divisive, and I knew that it would be. Like, I actually did almost consider not posting it, but then I thought, who would I be, telling people to be themselves if I didn't do the same thing? I think, everyone has different opinions, and the more that we post our individual opinions, the more we can open up discussion about certain things and, learn a new perspective. And so I always always welcome open conversations. And Anyway, a couple of people got a little bit heated on it and actually started to become quite patronizing, which, yeah, was a little bit uncalled for. And yeah, they were just implying that I am, don't want to celebrate women's achievements and that I'm immature. And yeah, it was quite nasty. It was just the complete opposite of what I am. And to be honest, the opposite of what the post is about, because I was implying that when people say blessed, they're using it in the literal term that basically says that they get special treatment by God. Which is like a bit insensitive to people that don't have such good experiences. And what I learned was that some people use the term blessed in their own way, either to mean lucky or to be grateful, which I just think is wrong, because you're spinning a word to your own definition for your own benefit. I just don't agree with that. So that's why people would get insensitive by it, because they don't know that that's the meaning that you're using for it. So yeah, it was a good discussion to open. And I don't regret it.